Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be diving deep, into these Indian charitable organizations,
Right.
specifically 12A and ADG registrations.
Right.
But like we always do,
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to be just like skimming the surface, right? We're going deep into the details
Yeah.
and, really understanding how these seemingly kind of technical registrations actually like fuel positive change.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating,
Yeah.
how these regulations actually have a big impact on the organizations and then obviously the people they're helping.
Right. And so that's kind of the mission of this deep dive,
Yeah.
right? Is to see like, how does all this stuff actually translate, to real world impact?
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's start with 12A.
Okay.
I know it's a tax exemption, but like, how big of a deal is it really?
It's a huge deal. Like every rupee that the organization saves on taxes
Right.
is another rupee that goes to their mission.
Gotcha.
It's not just about saving money. It's about maximizing the impact they have.
Right.
And that's also where ADG comes in. Okay.
So if you can offer donors a tax break,
Uh-huh.
that encourages more people to donate, knowing that their contributions are actually being used well.
Okay. I see how that works. But doesn't that give bigger organizations kind of an unfair advantage then?
Yeah, that's a valid point and something to really think about.
Yeah.
But ADG, it's not just about the size, it's about the transparency and accountability.
Yeah.
They need to show that they're using the donations properly and following strict guidelines.
So it's like a stamp of approval almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It builds trust, especially when there are concerns about, funds being misused or a lack of transparency. So
Right.
that trust is really important.
Gotcha. Okay. So to even be considered for 12A, though, an organization needs to be, a legit nonprofit.
Exactly.
So we're talking specifically organizations created to tackle, charitable goals.
Yeah, charitable goals. Yeah, like trusts, societies,
Right.
or Section 8 companies.
Can you just quickly explain what Section 8 companies are for me? Yeah. So they're companies that are specifically structured for charitable objectives. So,
Mhm.
Things like promoting art, science, religion, charity,
Yeah.
any other, useful object, really.
Uh-huh.
And a key part of that is that their profits, if any, have to be used to further those objectives.
Gotcha.
They can't be used for private gain.
Interesting. Okay, so they're all about like making a difference.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So back to 12A then.
Sure.
What is the actual benefit to organizations that manage to get this?
So the main thing is that any income that they generate from their activities.
Okay.
So this could be, donations, grants, membership fees.
Mhm.
That becomes non-taxable.
Okay, so more money for their missions.
Exactly.
Okay.
It lets them focus on their goals without this big tax burden.
Uh-huh.
However, there are some, rules they have to follow.
Of course, right? Everything's got rules.
Right. So transparency is key here.
Yeah.
They need to have really good accounting. They have to stick to their declared goals, to maintain their 12A status.
Yeah.
The income tax department wants to make sure that these benefits are actually going to the right places.
That makes total sense.
Oh.
Okay, so how does an organization actually go about getting this 12A registration? Like, it sounds complicated.
It's much simpler than you might think, actually.
Oh,
The whole process is online
Okay.
through the income tax department's portal.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I bet there's still quite a bit of prep work involved.
Yeah, you'll need your trust deed or memorandum of association,
Uh-huh.
PAN details,
Okay.
maybe some financial statements to show how you've been operating.
Okay, and so once they're registered, though, is that it? Are they good?
No, not quite.
Okay.
So maintaining this registration takes consistent effort
Uh,
and compliance. Think of it like a driver's license.
Yeah.
You got to follow the rules of the road.
right.
Organizations need to stay on top of their filings, keep their financial records clean, make sure that the donations are being used for the purposes they've outlined.
So it's like a continuous process of proving that they deserve this.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they may have to renew their registration periodically as well.
Okay.
But, honestly, the benefits for the organizations
Right.
and the people they help, really outweigh the effort.
Right, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's not like a set it and forget it situation.
Definitely not. No, there's a responsibility to
Right.
maintain it properly.
Okay, so we've covered, kind of the basics of 12A.
Yeah.
Let's move into ADG now.
Okay.
This is where donors, like you and me come into the picture, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Remember those tax breaks we talked about?
Yeah.
That's what ADG is all about.
Okay.
Donating a little sweeter.
I'm all ears. Tell me more.
All right. So when you donate to an organization
Mhm.
that has ADG registration,
Right.
you can claim a deduction on your taxes.
Wait, so donating can actually save me money?
It can reduce your taxable income,
Yeah.
yes. So depending on the organization and, what kind of donation you make, you could be looking at reducing your taxable income by 50%
Really?
of what you donate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But there's got to be more to it than just saving a few rupees, right?
Uh-huh.
You're right. So it also adds a layer of trust.
Okay.
Organizations with this ADG stamp of approval
Yeah.
are generally seen as more credible and more transparent.
Right.
So it gives donors, more confidence about where their money's going.
Gotcha. So it's not just about the tax benefits. It's about encouraging, responsible giving.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. But then how does an organization get ADG?
So first, they need to already have 12A registration. It's like
Yeah.
a prerequisite.
Right.
Then they'll submit, their 12A certificate, PAN details,
Okay.
and more detailed information about, their activities and finances.
Hmm.
So it's really showing proof
Yeah.
that they're using the donations for the reasons they're claiming.
So it's like they're walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Exactly.
Yeah.
And this process ensures that these ADG benefits are going to organizations that are genuinely dedicated to their missions.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, cool. So we've covered kind of the individual benefits of both of these things.
Yes.
But something tells me there's more to the story.
Yeah, you're right. What's really fascinating is how these two seemingly separate things actually work together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like having both is kind of like the, power couple of the charitable world.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Right.
They work together to create this positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
So 12A helps them save money on taxes, which frees up more resources.
Right.
And then ADG comes in and incentivizes more donations, further fueling their work.
So it's not just like addition, it's like multiplication.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, but isn't there a risk then that this could create like an uneven playing field? Like what about smaller organizations?
Yeah.
Do they get left behind?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. And it's true that navigating, that application process can be more challenging for smaller organizations, especially those with limited resources.
Yeah.
But remember, these registrations are open to all eligible organizations, regardless of their size.
Gotcha.
And in fact, there are specific provisions and support systems in place to actually help smaller nonprofits access these benefits.
So it's not like an exclusive club.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's about, creating a level playing field, empowering organizations of all sizes to thrive.
Yeah, and even thinking about collaboration, right? Like smaller organizations can partner with bigger ones to get help with this stuff.
Yeah, they can access resources and expertise
that
can make the journey toward, 12A and ADG registration a little smoother.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's about working together to make the system work for everyone.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about how it benefits individual organizations.
Yes.
But what about the bigger picture? Like, how do these registrations impact the overall landscape of philanthropy in India?
Yeah, so they play a significant role in shaping a more, robust and impactful charitable sector.
Oh, okay.
When organizations have access to more resources.
Right.
And donors are encouraged to give generously, it creates a ripple effect that benefits tons of individuals and communities.
So it's not just like numbers on a balance sheet. It's about real change.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about enabling organizations to tackle critical issues, poverty, education, healthcare, environmental conservation more effectively.
Yeah.
And then when donors see that their contributions are making a difference, it strengthens their trust in the system.
Right.
And it encourages even more giving.
So it's like a virtuous cycle.
Exactly, where everybody wins.
Exactly. And it extends beyond individual donors, too.
Okay.
So corporate social responsibility, or CSR, is a major force in Indian philanthropy.
Yeah. And ADG plays a key role in guiding those efforts as well.
Okay.
So companies often prioritize partnering with ADG-certified organizations for their CSR initiatives.
So it's like a seal of approval
that
influences where those funds go.
Exactly. And it's a powerful mechanism for channeling resources to organizations that are, really making a positive impact.
Right.
And this, in turn, encourages a culture of accountability and transparency.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm starting to see how these kind of seemingly technical things are actually drivers of social change.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But can you give me like an example?
Sure.
Like, how does all this actually play out?
So imagine a small nonprofit
Okay.
that's working to empower women in a rural community.
Uh-huh.
They provide vocational training, microfinance opportunities,
Right.
support for like establishing small businesses.
Okay.
Now let's say they get both 12A and 80G registration.
Yeah, what happens?
So what happens?
Yeah.
Well, first they'd save money on taxes, right?
Which would give them more to invest in their program.
Right, exactly. And then 80G would make them more appealing to donors.
Exactly.
Who can now get those tax benefits.
Exactly. So this increased funding and credibility could create like a snowball effect.
Right.
They might attract corporate partnerships, secure government grants,
Yeah.
draw the attention of international donors who are looking to support 80G certified organizations.
It's really amazing to think that these can have like such a profound impact, not just on their bottom line, but like on people's lives.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, you know?
Yeah.
Connecting the dots between these technical regulations and real tangible change.
Yeah.
It's about creating a system that really empowers organizations to achieve their missions and create a better future.
Okay. I'm definitely feeling more informed. But I have to admit, all this talk about, you know, regulations and applications is making my head spin a little bit.
Sure.
Can we take a step back?
And talk about what this all means for, like, someone like me.
Sure.
Who's passionate about supporting good causes, but maybe feels a little overwhelmed by the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something we all grapple with.
Right.
You know, the key is to remember that you don't need to be an expert in tax law or nonprofit management to make a meaningful difference.
Okay.
What matters most is your intention, your passion, your willingness to engage.
Okay, so where do I begin?
You know, start by identifying causes that resonate with you.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
What issues, you know, get you fired up?
Right.
And then do some research. Look for organizations working in those areas that align with your values.
Okay, and how do I know if an organization is trustworthy?
You know, you can check if they have 12A and 80G registration.
Okay.
Those are good indicators of transparency and accountability.
Yeah.
But don't stop there.
Okay.
Look at their website. Read their annual reports. See what kind of impact they're having.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions.
So it's about being an informed donor.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And remember, giving isn't just about money.
Right.
You can volunteer your time.
Yeah.
Share your skills. Spread awareness.
Yeah.
Advocate for causes you believe in.
Right. There are so many ways to make a difference.
Exactly.
This has been so insightful.
Yeah.
I'm feeling much more empowered to navigate this whole world now.
I'm glad to hear it.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious, you've talked about how 12A and 80G like shape the current landscape.
Yeah.
But what about the future?
Yeah.
How do you see these registrations evolving as the world of philanthropy changes?
That's a great question, and it's something we should all be thinking about as technology advances, fundraising methods evolve, societal needs shift.
Yeah.
The regulations governing these organizations will need to adapt. We might see a move towards greater transparency, with organizations having to publicly disclose more information about their finances and their impact.
Makes sense.
We might also see a greater emphasis on outcome-based funding, where donors reward organizations for achieving specific measurable results.
So it's about making sure that the system stays relevant.
Exactly.
And continues to drive positive change.
Exactly. And as we navigate, you know, this evolving landscape, it's crucial to remember that 12A and 80G aren't just technicalities. They're tools for empowering charitable organizations to make a real difference in the world.
Awesome. So as we wrap up our deep dive into 12A and 80G, what are some key takeaways, you know, for our listeners?
Well, I think the main thing to remember is that these registrations, you know, they're more than just these bureaucratic hurdles. They can really make a difference in how these organizations operate and the impact they have.
So if you're involved with a nonprofit, getting these registrations should be like top priority.
Absolutely. 12A and 80G, you know, they boost your financial stability. They enhance your credibility. Open doors to new opportunities.
It's like investing in your success.
Exactly.
Okay. And for those of us who are looking to support good causes, how can we use this knowledge to make good decisions about giving.
Well, remember, 12A and 80G
Yeah.
can be really good indicators of transparency and accountability.
Right.
But don't just, donate to any organization with those registrations.
Right.
Do your research, you know?
Right.
Look beyond the certifications and really get to know those organizations.
So it's about being an active donor.
Exactly.
Not just a passive check writer.
Yeah, look at their website. Check out their annual reports.
Right.
See what kind of impact they're making.
Right, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Exactly. The more informed you are as a donor, the better you can direct your generosity.
This has been so valuable. I'm already thinking about,
Oh, God.
how I can apply this to my own philanthropy.
Yeah.
But before we go,
Sure.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on one more thing.
Okay.
Given the potential impact of these, 12A and 80G,
Right.
are there any potential downsides or challenges we should be aware of?
That's a great question. One potential challenge is making sure the system is accessible to all eligible organizations,
Right.
regardless of their size or their resources.
Right, so smaller organizations.
Exactly. There's a risk that those smaller grassroots organizations could face more hurdles in navigating, that application process or meeting those requirements.
So making sure the system doesn't create barriers
Exactly.
for the people who need it the most.
Exactly. And another challenge is striking that balance between encouraging charitable giving and making sure the tax benefits are being used responsibly.
Right. There's always a risk for abuse.
Exactly. Ongoing monitoring and oversight are crucial.
It's like anything else, right? With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
But overall, it sounds like the benefits far outweigh the risks.
I think so, yeah. These registrations are powerful tools for strengthening the whole charitable sector.
Right.
And empowering these organizations to make a difference.
Awesome. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But this is really just the beginning of the conversation.
It is.
So as you continue exploring, the world of charitable giving, remember that 12A and 80G are just two pieces of a much larger puzzle.
And the most important piece is your own passion.
Yeah.
Your engagement.
Yeah.
Your commitment to making a difference.
I love that. So to all our listeners out there, keep learning, keep questioning.
Exactly.
Keep seeking out ways to make an impact.
And remember, every act of generosity, no matter how small, can help create a brighter future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
And until next time, happy giving.